Today we're going to play with this little iBeacon from Blue Charm Beacons and see if we can't use it for vehicle detection. Let's get started. Okay, so a couple things first. I'm not going to use the app that they recommend using for this because I don't need it yet. I might want to use it for configuration changes later on, but for now, I just want to see that this device is beaconing out. So I'm going to go to my development or test system, and I'm going to see if it finds it in my ESP32 device just by watching the log. So we'll go to the ESP home device or web UI, and I will click on the closest ESP32 node, which is this one, and look at the logs. And I'm going to hold down the button on here for 2 minutes or 2 seconds and see if it shows up. All right, so there's the button. It lights up. And what I'm going to do is watch my logs here to see if the beacon actually sends out a beacon. Now, when you push this button, make sure that the light that comes on is green and it's not red. The green light indicates that it's in beaconing mode, and it will send out beacons every so often. The red light means that you've turned off beaconing mode. So when you push the button, make sure it's the green light and not the red light. So I have pushed it again to get the green light, and we'll see if it shows up here in our ESP32. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to use that scanner, and here's the device right here, Blue Charm. If you want to use your phone, you can use your phone as well, but we want this MAC address. So I'm going to grab this MAC address and store it away in Notepad. I'm going to paste that in Notepad. So we have that MAC address. And this is our Blue Charm device, and you can tell that because it says Blue Charm in the name right here. So now we have the Blue Charm MAC address, which we're going to need to configure our ESP32. Now, if you don't want to use the ESP32 to find it, you can use a BLE or beacon scanner. And so I use a little BLE scanner, and it shows up here as Blue Charm as well. And you know, you can change the name, but I'm going to set this my favorites right there. So if I want to go back to it and find the IP or the MAC address later, there it is for me as well. But I can see that it does pick it up in my BLE scanner as well. So you have an option of using this, or you have an option of using the BLE scanner or whatever, some sort of scanner on your phone. Okay, now that we have our MAC address, it's simple to go in here and edit. So we're going to create a binary sensor, and the platform is going to be a BLE presence. The MAC address will be what I copied from the log files just a moment ago. So that was in my notepad. I'll paste it in here. And my name, I'm going to give it a notable name. So Blue Charm Truck Sensor, because I'm going to use it in my vehicle. And I'm going to save this. And I'm going to close it now. And what I want to do is I want to validate it, make sure it validates correctly. And it tells me now it's valid. So I will now upload this, and I'm going to upload this over the air, over Wi-Fi to the ESP32 device. So what it has to do first is it has to compile in the new information. And once it compiles it, it will upload it into the ESP32 device. Now I'm using a generic BLE presence detector platform. So technically you could use anything that does an iBeacon or beacon type of broadcast. You don't even need to configure the device or do anything with it. And I know a lot of people haven't actually used the app, and I talked about that a minute ago. The only reason to use the app is to potentially change some configuration values if you wanted to update more often or less often or something like that. But I'm going to use it as it is stock and see how that works, and just use it as a beacon only and not do anything else with it. And we'll see what happens. While we're waiting for this to compile and upload, if you could just take a moment to hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit the like button as well. I would really appreciate it. Helps the channel grow. Okay, so the upload is successful, and now it's starting its logging. Okay, now that that's all compiled, uploaded, and running, we're going to stop this, which just stops the logging or display of the log. And we're going to go into our ESP devices under our integration, and we're going to see if it picks up the new ESP sensor, the binary sensor. And let me go into this node here for entities. So now I have this truck sensor, and what can I do with it? What's interesting about this is because ESP at home is running on my local network, that my production system should also show the same device show up. And so what I'll do now is I'll go here and check the integrations for that device. And I also have 4 entities here, which means I can use this in my production system or in my test system. So for my production system, I'm going to go back over here and we're going to do a little dashboard work to make this do something for us. I'm going to edit the dashboard and I'm going to stick it at the bottom probably here as a binary sensor. So edit the dashboard, come down here and edit this column or this stack. And at the very bottom, I'm just going to add a new entity card. Type is going to be entity, and then paste that. I'm going to actually make this a button card. How about that? And the icon is going to be MDI. Let's see if it shows truck. Oh, look at that. And so you can do some stuff with this and make this change status or color or whatever. But I'm going to leave this for that way for now and get out of edit mode. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate that this is gone by taking it out of range of the current ESP32 device. Now, one thing I've read about this, and I've moved that sensor to hopefully far enough away that it doesn't get picked up. It might. We'll have to see. But I've heard that there's potentially a 90-second delay once you leave the area for that to change. So we'll see how that works. Also, what else you can do with this, one thing that I'm going to do is I want to be notified if for some reason my truck is no longer in the driveway and I'm not in it. So I'm going to create an automation and I'm going to make it do some stuff if that disappears. So we'll go to automations, add an automation and start with an empty one. And I'll just call it truck is gone. And it'll be a single. And my device type will be, a trigger type will be device. Actually, it will be state. And my entity is going to be my Blue Charm truck sensor. And if it goes from on to off, and you've seen me do these kind of automations before, then I'm going to do an action and I'm going to do a call service, which would be a notify. If I can find it, notify pushover. And the message is going to say, truck has left the building, or whatever you want to say. And the same thing with title, truck is gone. And I guess I can use exclamation points. And I will save this now. And that's super simple for creating a notification. And I'll go back over here now to automations and I will run this action to make sure it works. And we'll see if it does. And I did. You just heard the alert. I got an alert that said that the truck is gone. The truck has left the building. So that will tell me anytime the truck leaves the driveway. And if I'm not in it or someone in my family is not driving it, then we'll go chase it down. So that's a test. Let's go back over to the dashboard and see if that ESP device has actually left the building. And it's still showing that it is here. So one of two things is happening. Either I haven't gotten it far enough away that it's still being picked up, or the ESP32 is not changing state. So one of the things we can do again is we can go back into our ESP32 device and we can watch the logs and see if that is actually being detected. So wait for these to turn green and then look at the logs. And I'll watch to see if it shows up in this list of logs. Okay, so I see this now that this Blue Charm setting state to off. That took a very, very, very long time. So what I need to do is determine why it takes so long for BLE presence detection to identify that a device is not there in the ESP32 or in the device itself. So I've played around with some parameters in the settings and those parameters are the interval, scan interval, scan window, and scan time, I think. Anyway, I've basically created a mess doing that. So I put everything back to defaults. I created a little Faraday cage. I wrapped the little Blue Charm in tinfoil, and I'm going to set it over to the side, and we're going to watch and see how long it takes for that to disappear using this right here. And also on my phone here, the Blue Charm device is not connectable or not seeable or discoverable because it's too far away in the tinfoil. So I know the tinfoil is doing a good job of blocking out the signal. I'm curious to know if anyone has played with this, and if you have, comment down below on how you set it up so it detects it disappearing quicker. I can also check the logs here and watch those. It's starting a scan, and how often it does the scan is up to the parameters set in the device. And there's a handy little page here that talks about how all of this works. And you have the scan interval, the scan window, and the scan duration. And the interval is the time between the start of 2 consecutive scan windows. And each window lasts a certain amount of time. I don't know what the default is in the ESP Home software. And then the duration which stays in the scanning state. Looking at the ESP Home Low Energy Tracker Hub, it talks about those settings down here. The default for interval is 320 milliseconds. The window is, I don't know what the default is, but if it's close to the interval value, the ESP will spend more time listening, but also consume more power, which is fine for me. I don't care about that. And then the duration is the duration of each complete scan. This has no real impact on the device, but it defaults to 5 minutes. And I'm wondering if that 5 minutes is what we're looking at here. And that may be something to set as a lower value. So I'm going to change the scan parameters. And I'll leave the interval commented out. I'm going to set the window. I think that's correct. Or the duration. I'm going to set the duration to 1 minute. All right, so duration is 1 minute. And I'm going to save and upload. And we'll come back to this in a minute when it's fully uploaded and see if that makes any difference at all to, one, the ESP30 or the Blue Charm device being gone or simulated gone, and also does it affect my temperature sensor that I have connected to the same ESP32 device. We've now recompiled with the duration setting to 1 minute, and the state is on because the device is right here. I'm going to move it away, and just to check, we're good there. I'm going to move it away, and we're going to see how long this actually stays active, and see if setting that value from 5 minutes as the default to 1 minute on the duration makes any difference at all. I'm also watching the scanning on the log here. I want to see if this works correctly and if it continues to pick up my thermometer that's sitting here in the room as well. If it doesn't, then we're going to have to rethink the process of changing those settings. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. The BLE stuff may or may not be reliable using the, those little devices that I'm talking about, the little battery powered devices. Thus far, I haven't seen anything at all regarding the Blue Charm device. I'm looking at my phone, I verify that it's Oh, it did, look. So it did change it. And of course it's off here now. So I don't have an official timer running anywhere, but that was probably a minute. So I'm going to bring it back and set it here close to the ESP device. And it should pick it back up here in a few seconds to say that simulated truck is in the driveway. And it did. Now it sees it's on. And I'm going to move it away again. And probably within a minute, it's going to pick that sensor up as being gone again. Okay, the good news is it did actually find the thermometer in the room. So setting the duration to 1 minute hopefully hasn't detrimentally affected that. It does see it as it does see the value of that thermometer. So that means that I can still get those even with the duration set to 1 minute. So hopefully within the next few seconds that I see the Blue Charm device go to off. All right, so I see the truck is now off again. We're going to try this again. We're going to bring it over, have it pick up the truck or the Blue Charm sensor. And then I'm going to move it farther away and make sure that it doesn't get picked up by the phone, which is sitting right here where the ESP32 is. So let me grab it. All right, now I'm going to set it next to the ESP32 device. And it should pick it up and show us in the logs that it picked it up. And then it'll set the Blue Charm to on. So here's my Blue Charm truck sensor is state to on. Now let's move it far, far away. As far as my arm is anyway. And make sure that my phone BLE scanner doesn't see it anymore. If the phone BLE scanner doesn't see it, then chances are the ESP32 will not see it. And that is the case now. The phone has lost connection. We'll assume it takes 1 minute for the duration setting to go into effect or for the duration to expire, and then it will go away from the list here. We started the scan. Give us 1 minute from the time of the scan to end the scan window. Okay, I think it set it to off. Yes, it did set the state to off. I'm going to try this a couple more times, and we'll see if it is repeatable, setting that duration to 1 minute. And it may be even that I could set the duration to 30 seconds for a quicker response. So let's get this thing to come back on. So taking my tinfoil wrapped Blue Charm and setting it next to the ESP32 to be picked up. Okay, now it's on, shows on here. Let's take it away. Make sure it disappears from my phone's BLE scanner. And it's now gone from the phone. Okay, so it's set the Blue Charm sensor to off at 10:12. And it was on when? 10:11. So it's exactly 1 minute. I'm going to try one more experiment here. I'm going to set it to 30 seconds instead of 1 minute for the duration and see if that is faster in response. Also, when doing this, it's possible that you could start missing other things. So the duration of the window is lower than what an advertising interval for something might be, and then you wouldn't see it. But we'll try it anyway. I'm going to save it. I'm going to upload it. And we'll come back to this in just a minute. Okay, so we have another over-the-air successful program update. And what we're going to do now is bring our tinfoil back over, our Blue Charm, and make sure that the truck scanner or the Blue Charm device shows up in our list of discovered devices. So the state is on. You can see that here. Now remember, I just changed this to a 30-second scan window or duration. So if I pull this away now, within 30 seconds, hopefully we will see that disappear. And this is good too. We're still seeing our temperature sensor stuff working, which means we haven't messed that up in the process of doing the rest of this. So the phone is confirmed that it can't see the Blue Charm anymore. And that means that the ESP can't see it anymore. And it's now set the state to off. So that's a 30-second scan window. Let's go back over here and grab it, make it come back. It immediately came back on that time. Probably won't do that every time, but just happened to be good timing. Move it away. Make sure that nothing can see it anymore. And we'll see if it goes to off within 30 seconds. And it's off. It's definitely faster. It's probably not always going to be exactly 30 seconds, but it will be within, you know, some plus or minus value of that duration window. So the summary here, after messing around with this for a while, is that it's important to understand your scan parameters when you're messing with these BLE trackers. You need to understand what they do, and you may have to experiment with them to make sure that they work correctly. What is yet to be determined is whether or not this actually works reliably. There's a couple other aspects I need to consider. One is, can the device be seen from inside my vehicle in the driveway by an ESP32 device, say in the garage somewhere? And does it reliably actually go on and off as I leave and return to the driveway? So I'll have to experiment with that by actually doing that. I'll take the device now and I'll put it in the car or the truck, and we'll see if it picks it up on a reliable basis. So that's yet to be seen. Well, I hope this was entertaining, at least, maybe helpful a little bit. BLE tracking, I think, is not an exact science in what we do with it here in Home Assistant world. And it takes some experimentation to understand what you're going to do with it. Comments down below. Hit that like button if you like the video, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And I am on Discord, so you can leave me questions there, and we'll see you on the next video.